were a speechwriter, like what, when you were 21?
I was. I took a leave of absence from law school, from Yale Law School, and I started working for originally a Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Connecticut. Literally one of my best friends in law school was Hilary Rodham, who went on to become Hillary Rodham Clinton, who was nicer than people think. She was completely different. She was, she's been in a complicated marriage for a very long time. And I think politics makes people weird. I wasn't aware of that. I'm just kidding. You're the one.
Yeah, I'm the only one who wasn't aware of her particularly
complicated marriage, right? I'm just kidding. But Hilary was one of the people who urged me to and just take this opportunity to be head speechwriter for a Senate nominee, and that led to I did work in politics for 4 years, doing and which also then led to work in advertising, doing political commercials, and so as one of these, that's sort of the road not taken. For me, was politics? I could have been one. Yeah, I could have been one of those political gypsies. But I've often thought about that kind of work because I do have a head for it, and I kind of like it. But the difficulty is it's very, very difficult to make it compatible with family life. Right. And my family is important to me.
And they're away a lot, right?
It's not just the fact that you're away a lot. It's the nature of the work. One of the other things about me that you know, Kathy, but I'm a Sabbath observer, and I've been a Sabbath observer since I left politics. And what that means, being Jewish, is that on Friday night, no telephone, no radio, no TV, the world sort of stops. And it's very, very difficult if you're working for politicians, and it's the Friday night before an election.
How did Lieberman do?
And I give him all the credit in the world. In fact, it was fun. This last election, I had the chance in Ohio campaigning with Joe Lieberman, who's an old friend of mine from law school. And he was a tutor at Yale Law School. There are a lot of Yaleys who are around.
Right.
President Bush was the class ahead of me at Yale. He was one of those preppy guys.
And John Kerry?
And John Kerry was 3 classes ahead of me.
And Bush was smarter than him, right? He did better?
Bush actually did better grades, had better grades at Yale than John Kerry, and better test scores. And and here's the amazing thing.
And he's a friend of yours, right, President Bush? You've met him.
He's become, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Recently, and this gets us back to 10 Big Lies About America.
Have we been there yet?
President Bush was kind enough to invite me to the White House. They had a Hanukkah party, which was a beautiful occasion. I'd been to the White House. President Bush invited me to the White House. I've been to the White House 4 times to visit with President Bush, and sometimes very personal, private meetings, which really was deeply meaningful to me. And I admire the man greatly, and I think history will be very kind to him, despite what people say. This guy's been president of the United States for 8 years.
I know, yes.
He's kept us safe.
I agree.
He's a person of unbelievably good heart. And by the way, in terms of measured IQ tests, at least according to the Smoking Gun, which does it, he has a higher IQ than Obama, which no one believes.
I believe
it. By 1 point.
See, I hear people say Obama's really smart, and you may have even said it. You know, I don't get that sense. Why didn't he know how many states? Okay, I'm serious.
He was tired. Look,
really?
The point is, I think to be as successful as he's been, you have to be really smart. But that same is true of the President of the United States. President Bush has a tough time expressing himself. He stumbles over words. And it, by the way, is a family characteristic. Because his father does the same thing. His father's brilliant. His father graduated in his top 10 in his class at Yale. And his father was Phi Beta Kappa and is genuinely a brilliant guy. No one would contest it. And his grandfather, who was another brilliant guy, Prescott Bush, who was senator from Connecticut, also was one of those guys where just the words wouldn't come out right. I think that Ann Richards, the former governor of Texas, said, "Poor George, he was born with a silver foot in his mouth,"
okay, that's good.
which is a kind of a good line.
Yeah.